Well, Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Eve here. Well, no, here it is just past midnight of Christmas Day. So it has just become Christmas Day for me. I'm Peter Alexievich. This is the Live at 5 from Kyiv, bringing you all the latest happenings from on the ground in this major European capital city. And this is Christmas Eve for most folks that will be here. It's the holiday season, so happy holidays to all. Hey, Darlene. Hey, Mrs. Toad. How's everybody doing tonight? Hey, Simon. Merry Christmas, brother. And a Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, Mrs. Toad. Evening, Chef Deb. Bernard, Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad, Bobby. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Hey, little red sunflower. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, bro dog. So the peeps are coming in. And I was debating whether or not to go live tonight. But let's face facts. Happy Merry Christmas, Mike in Wisconsin. And let's face facts. The air alarms have just gone off here in Kyiv. Hey, Sergey. There is not going to be, the Russians have their gifts for us, and they are on their way. So it is not going to be a peaceful night. The guys in the trenches certainly aren't getting a night off, right? So I thought I would go live regardless of the fact that it was Christmas Eve. I haven't really done enough to earn a night off anyway, in my opinion. Richard Prexis, how you doing? Merry Christmas, Frankie. If I missed anybody who wished me Merry Christmas, everybody. I really appreciate it. Evening, Living Legend. Anyway, so let's get started. A couple of things. Now, look, we'll start with the overnight missile and drone attacks. And again, this is not going to be a silent night here in Kyiv. The bombers are on their way. There's a lot of bombers in the air. So it's not just going to be drones. It's going to be missiles too, right? It's going to be a loud night. Now, my big concern there is not Putin's mythical Oreshnik missile, because that is not air-launched. But the big concern that, and plus I don't think it exists really, right? But Russia has recently gotten a shipment of North Korean KN-15 intermediate-range ballistic missiles. Now, these are big missiles. It's estimated that the unitary warhead is somewhere between 500 and 1,200 kilograms. So that's at minimum 1,000 pounds of TNT. They don't represent the kind of destructive capacity of, say, an Oreshnik would, because it's only a single unitary warhead. But it's a big-ass warhead, and it comes in at hypersonic speeds. So those things are all of real concern to us here in Kyiv, right? And they've got somewhere, we think, between 12 and 16 of them recently brought in from North Korea. So it's a problem. Now, we know that the drones and missiles are on their way now. What happened last night overnight? Well, last night on Christmas Eve, the Russians sent 60 drones of mixed type, of which 36 were shot down. 36 were shot down. The remaining, of the remaining 24, 23 were taken out with some kind of active countermeasure. We don't know what those countermeasures are, just that they were taken out. And then one was still in the air when the Air Force released the data this morning, and they did not give us an update. Merry Christmas, Wampa. Feliz Navidad, bro. Feliz Navidad. So some action last night, and clearly there is going to be some action tonight. We'll see what the Russians have up their sleeves. But right now, the vast majority of Ukraine is under an air alert. The bombers are in the air, and the drones are on their way. Okay, Merry Christmas, Russell Kennedy. The big news, in my opinion, today is the sinking of the Ursa Major. So you've got this fleet of ships that the Russians have this fleet of ships that they call the Syrian Rapid Response Flotilla. It can translate something like that. And so this is a bunch of ships that have been running supply runs back and forth to Syria, taking men and equipment in and out of Syria for the last 10 years, right? It's their job to service Syria. The ships have traditionally been called Sparta. They're all called Sparta. Sparta 1, Sparta 2, Sparta 3. Today, it was Sparta 3 that sank. Now, Sparta 3 left the Baltics a few days ago in the company of a Russian warship. The Sparta 3, the Ursa Major, is a state-owned vessel. It is not a privately owned vessel. It's a state-owned vessel. And it left the Baltics with 3 landing ships, all bound for Tartus, to get all of the Russian equipment out of Tartus and get it somewhere else. Another cargo ship like it, another Sparta, and that Russian warship, as I said. Now, this flotilla comes down all the way around Spain, through Gibraltar, into the Med. And in the Mediterranean, the Ursa Major has an explosion in the engine room. 2 crewmen are still missing from that, right? The guys in the engine room, they never get out. That's what we saw with those oil ships that sank last week, too. That's where the losses came from. So 2 guys didn't get out. 14 guys were rescued from the ship as it sank, mostly by Spanish Coast Guard, because it was off the coast of Spain, although the Portuguese were involved, too, at some point. Now, what was on this ship, and where was it headed? Well, by all accounts, it was headed to the port of Tartus, with all the other ships that were going to get the Russian equipment and men out of Syria. Because Putin's got a problem, right? He's lost Syria. He is not welcome to stay. He's got to get them out by the time frame that HTS has set. And HTS wants them gone, as evidenced recently by video that surfaced of Syrian people throwing rocks at Russian convoys as they were leaving the country. So Russia's got a problem. They've sunk $32 billion into Syria. They've got all this equipment and men there. They got to get it out. So what do? They send a bunch of ships to go get it out. Now, we should all be in agreement that this cargo ship was clearly headed to Tartus, but no. The Russians say it wasn't. The Russians are saying that this ship, even though it was with 4 other ships that were going to Tartus, even though it was loaded with 2 cranes, port cranes, right? The cranes that can lift giant containers off of ships and put them in safely at the port, or out at sea can shift containers from vessel to vessel. Port cranes. It went down with two 85-ton apiece port cranes on it. Now, one would think that they would have been absolutely essential for the rescue in Tartus. No, says the Russians. That ship had the housing for the nuclear power plant, for the nuclear powered icebreaker that we're building, and the crane was meant, and the nuclear housing was all meant to go to Vladivostok. Okay, maybe. Very sus, Mrs. Toad. Very sus, I agree. Now look, maybe it's true. But what makes more sense to me is that there was something on that ship. It was extremely valuable, extremely essential to what's going on right now. And it is now at the bottom of the sea. Hey, Walter Williamson. It's a coral reef starter kit in the Med. Exactly. Now, look, we do not... If you believe the Russians, then you know what's on the ship, right? You think it was the housing for that nuclear power plant that would power the icebreaker, right? I don't buy it. Why? Because Putin has a real problem. He's got to reestablish himself in the Mediterranean if he wants to force project and preserve his assets in Africa. Right now, that African gold is what's paying off the Iranians for their Shaheds and their missiles. We know that, right? He's using timber, diamonds, gold, copper, silver, all exploited out of Africa because he can't use cash anywhere in the world. Nobody will take the ruble. So he's trading these goods, these commodities, for other commodities that he needs to prosecute his war. He needs Africa. He needs a refueling station between Russia and Africa, which is what Syria was. It has been said that he is moving into Libya, right? Now follow my logic on this. Libya is not under any one person's control, but there is a guy, a field marshal, Haftar, who controls a good chunk of Libya. And he's the man to deal with if you want to set up base in Libya. So it appears that the Russians have tried to buy their way into Libya. But the word is that Haftar is losing his patience with the Russians. They're there. They've been there for 10 years. He doesn't really want them there anymore. So they're going to have to buy their way in. Merry Christmas, Benz. Is it possible that what was really on that cargo ship was the payment to Haftar? Whether it was gold, whether it was weapons, whether it was some other value, right? Like, I don't know. But that ship in particular is known as a weapons running ship. That's what it does. As the Sparta 3, it moved weapons to the Hezbollah folks, to the Hamas folks. It ran weapons all around the world wherever Russia was trying to destabilize. And Assad brought a lot of money with him to Russia. Yeah, maybe it was filled with Assad's gold, right? Because by all accounts, he didn't get to keep the gold. That was the first thing that Putin took from him. Could it be that Putin said to Assad, hey, man, I'm glad you showed up right now, but listen, all that gold you stole, I'm going to need it to buy a port in Libya. Thanks. And the port in Libya is your fault, so I'm going to need you to pay for it. That's not impossible. Now, again, we don't know, right? Hey, everybody, there's Bass. How you doing, Bass? So we don't know what was on that ship. What we do know is that it sank. Now, why it sank and how it sunk, that's another story. Now, I am no conspiracy theorist. You know that. Yeah, they said there was an explosion in the engine room, and when you look at the way that the ship is listing to starboard, it's clearly got a hole in it on the starboard side. I'm going to steal June, one of the followers on the channel, June. He made a comment that the ship was listing like the Russian economy. And I was so mad I didn't think of it myself. But I told him I was going to steal it for tonight. But exactly, the ship was listing like the Russian economy, baby. And eventually found itself at the bottom of the sea. Now, I'm not, the Russians never give the Ukrainians credit for anything. The Kursk invasion is all NATO troops. The assassination of Kirillov was CIA, right? The Russians never give the Ukrainians credit for anything. So I am not suggesting that the Ukrainians are clever enough, ruthless enough, calculating enough, and prescient enough to know that that ship with those cranes was going to be so vital to Putin's efforts to leave Syria that they took it out. Because now all that Putin can think about is, how do I get out of Syria? How do I get out of Syria? Right? Putin, the problem with autocracies, the problem when you have one guy that makes all the decisions, the big problem is that he's only got so much bandwidth. He can only make so many decisions at a time. He can only focus on so many things at a time. And right now he is scrambling to figure out how the fuck he is going to get out of Syria. And that means his eye is off the ball. He doesn't have the time to be thinking about Ukraine. He's not paying attention. That lack of attention could cost him everything. I don't see any relationship between this ship and the Israelis. I can't even begin to imagine what the relationship would be, Mrs. Toad. No idea. So, how much stuff does he have left in Syria? Billions of dollars worth of equipment. I mean, tanks alone run $5 million US a piece. And there's got to be a double dozen or more at each of the bases. I mean, right there, you're talking about probably $500 million in tanks. So I don't know all up what assets the Russians have in Syria that they would like to get out. But I do know that a lot of them are never leaving. That HTS is not going to give up the tanks that it captured. And those bases in the east that are currently surrounded by Kurdish forces who aren't letting the Russians leave, they're not going to give up the booty that they find inside. No way. There's no way in hell. So, this, for me, the sinking of this ship today is the single biggest geopolitical event of the day. It's huge. And I want to point out that it comes right on the heels of the Russians losing 5 other ships. 5 other ships? I'm sorry, 4 other ships. 4 other ships. 3 oil tankers of the Shadow Fleet that have created an ecological disaster, spilling as much as 12,000 gallons of bunker fuel onto Russian beaches. Thank God it was Russian beaches, right? And then they also lost another crane ship. Another crane ship. And on top of that, now I didn't make it a segment, but I'm just going to mention it as an aside. There is a report now that a landing ship, which is how you move all this shit around, right? A big landing ship capable of carrying, I think, 15 tanks at a time or 40 armored personnel carriers at a time, something like that. Big landing ship. May have been the target of a Ukrainian drone attack in the Black Sea just today or last night. In Tuapse, the Tuapse Harbor in Georgia, which technically under Georgia's internationally recognized borders, it is Georgia. But it's that 20% of Georgia that Russia's been colonizing for the last 16 years since 2008, since the Georgia War. So it's that part of Georgia that's controlled by Russia. They've put a new deep water port in. And this landing ship was there in Georgia, probably hiding because it's not safe in Sevastopol. There is a report that it was hit with drones last night. We don't have details on... You know what this reminds me of this week? It reminds me of that week where the Ukrainians got really good at shooting down Russian planes. And in like 7 days, a dozen planes were taken out of the sky. Remember that? Like last April or May or so? It's like that. It's like the Ukrainians have learned how to take out ships. And they're just taking them out one after another. Because when you look at what was taken out, these are strategic vessels at a strategic time. So, Popcornus, you're just coming in at the end of the discussion of the Russian crane. We've literally been talking about it since we went live 20 minutes ago. I have a couple videos up on it. I think my opinion is it's the most important geopolitical happening of the day. It's really, really important. And it's going to hurt Russia. It's absolutely going to hurt Russia. Okay. Now, what else? So Ukraine unveiled its Trembita missile. This is an intermediate range missile that can reach Moscow. Now, we don't know how many of them they have. We don't know what their plans are for production. But Ukraine now seems to have a missile that can hit Moscow. And Moscow should be worried. Nobody should fear the bear. The bear is starving because of climate change and its inability to keep up. Ukraine, fear her. The Russians should. We talked already about the KN-15 rockets coming in. We are definitely concerned about those. No, Paul, I'm a fucking teddy bear. They're a starving polar bear, those guys. It does appear that the British are going to send trainers into Ukraine to train Ukrainian soldiers. Beltbat, don't even get my hopes up. I mean, I keep hoping that Budanov is going to give us the Kerch Bridge for Christmas. Or, but now maybe it could be the Kremlin. Wouldn't that be something? Hey, Anthony. Hey, G2. How does a Russian ship take to go from Syrian port to Russia? 15 tanks is nothing. Yeah, it's a problem, Constantine. Yes, it is, pal. And now they don't have the cranes to offload them because they're at the bottom of the sea. It's a problem. Yeah, it is. This is what I'm talking about. Plus, the tank issue hardly matters because they're not getting the tanks back. The Syrians are keeping the tanks. 40 armored vehicles per landing ship, and those are the biggest landing ships that Russia has. I mean, yeehaw. Thanks, Baby Yoda. We try. I didn't check the ruble today, Nightshade. Is it right at 100 to 1? Is it really just 100 to 1? From a time perspective, it's got to be a couple days to sail from Syria around Spain, right through the Straits of Gibraltar, around Spain, and up to the Baltics. It's got to be a couple days. Got to be. I don't know exactly. Bermuda's saying it's well past 100 to 1. Let me just check. I'll pull it up here. And if anybody's got any questions, now would be the time. We'll go to Q&A. Big thank you to the moderator team, best moderator team on the Tickety Talk. Cheyenne, Vanetta, PTJ, and Travis. Oh, no. Interesting. The ruble has recovered very nicely, given the fact that the Russians have closed the market for it. It's down to 99.64. So it's actually stabilized quite well. Any word if Russia's planning an attack tomorrow? Russia attacks every day. We're under an air alert right now. So Russia is in the process of attacking Ukraine now. Refurb man. Well, that's very flattering. I finish up in 30 minutes. Maybe I'll hop over there. So no, the ruble is worth just about a penny. Just about a penny. The bridge in the Kremlin would be we are thinking big, Paul, aren't we? We are thinking one. We are thinking big. I'll tell you what I'd love for Christmas. I'd love 26,000 followers. If you are not currently following this channel, I'm about 200 shy of 26,000. So I would love to hit 26,000 for Christmas. What I would really love is hit $2,000 a month on Patreon. I'm living on about $1,420 a month. What would that be? If 40 people could kick me $5 a month, you would get me up to a $2,000 a month income, and that would change my life. Those are words I never thought I would say. Let me tell you. Somebody got it here. Constantine, you're saying it's 22.2 days at sea? Oh, painful. I could never do that job. I could never do that job. Hey, big thank you to Blue Ariel Silk, who is the sponsor of tonight's live. Blue Ariel Silk does a lot of good work for Ukraine, and we appreciate her. So thanks, Blue Ariel Silk. Well, St. Petersburg is wishing us a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Lori. Bermuda, I'm with you. I'd like to see the Independent People's Republic of Belgorod, too. Bobby, Putin did demolish the Sochi Palace so Ukraine couldn't bomb it. That is a real thing that happened this year. What a year, right? Oh, you and me both, Blue. Right? Like, that's why I'm live tonight. I don't feel like I do nearly enough. I don't, like, there's so much to do. There is so much to do. Merry Christmas user telephone number. Bermuda, I don't know. He's got at least 3 of them, right? Merry Christmas, Marco. Thanks, Laurel. You too. Yeah, I'd like to see a special delivery for Vladimir Putin as well. So, guys, I think I did the thanks, right? But I want to, at this time, as a kind of deviation from the norm here, I can continue to answer questions from the queue. But if any of the team want to come live and say a few words, Vanetta, Cheyenne, PT, Jay, Travis, Lars, Nightshade, if any of you guys want to come live and say a few words on this Christmas evening, it would be great to have you come live. If anybody wants to jump in and say a few words to the folks that are here with us every night. Hey, Jerry O, happy Christmas. Peter, is there any possibility that the inner circle of the Putin regime is apocalyptic? I don't know, Strangleized. We know that the mullahs in Tehran are. I don't know about inside of Putin's circle. That would certainly be a concern, wouldn't it? Well, James Boudreau, I sure appreciate it. James Boudreau is saying there that he sent me a Christmas present. I sure appreciate it. For anybody that would like to do that as well, the PayPal is in the description. Cheyenne, are you there? Can we hear you?
I am. Are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Everybody,
Merry
this is
Christmas.
Cheyenne. I don't know if you've ever heard her voice before.
I want to wish you, Peter, a very merry, wealthy, healthy, peaceful Christmas. And I want to say thank you for everything that you have done the past 2+ years. Your brilliant analysis has kept us informed on a daily basis, and it is so gratifying. Thank you for keeping visuality on Ukraine, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheyenne. Hey, Nightshade, how you doing, pal?
Yeah, Peter. Yeah, I just want to say thanks to you and the mods, of course. That's mods on the Tickety Talk. But yeah, I appreciate everything you do, especially when you break down things and sort of help us see things from a different perspective, other than what like the face value of a story,
Well, thanks, man. It's certainly been a learning curve, that's for sure. For all of
Yeah,
us.
yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll see a
Um,
story and then you'll come back with it and say, actually, maybe if you look at it this way and think, oh, actually, yeah, there is something to that kind of thing,
that's the world is such a confusing place, and there is so much to know. It's very hard to figure it out, and that's one of the reasons why this channel is only focused on Ukraine. Like, there's enough to try to figure out with Ukraine alone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Little Red Sun Shower. What a lovely treat hearing their voices, the names that are always in the background. Merry Christmas, Jenna. Paul, just today, I nipped one in the bud. I was listening to the recording that I had made, and there was the faintest hint of a soundtrack underneath it. And I went back to the initial recording page, and that's where it was, and I removed it from there. How it got there is beyond me. But this thing about music and graphics showing up on videos is a real problem. PT's on the grill for Christmas. Well, PT, thanks for everything. Merry Christmas, Fluffy Dragon Pants. Merry Christmas, Northern Ireland. All right. I mean, that's definitely not true, bro dog. There's a lot of Ukrainian creators. There's a lot of folks in the U.S. and in the West that focus on Ukraine. I think about Avarosis. I think about Joey Contino. I think about ATG Geopolitics. There's a lot of very credible voices out there. Nightshade, I think you spend more time listening to other I avoid listening to other creators because I want to maintain an original program, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But Nightshade, I think you listen to a lot of other creators. Are there creators, Ukrainian creators particularly, that you find that you think people should know about? Chad Scott is certainly one.
Yeah, Chad Scott. As far as ones actually in Ukraine, there's the two Yulias. There's one
Yep.
that's YEW, and there's the other one. There's two Yulias, and it gets confusing. I get mixed up on which one is which. But, I'm trying to think who else is there. There's a British guy that's there. He's one of these aid workers. Not the other one that you had on as a guest, but there's another one called I want to say Common Travel Guy or something like that. But he sort of goes like a couple weeks at a time and helps out with um he'll drive like a food van around and stuff like that and helping feed them, and like there's been occasions where something's been hit and he's down there helping clear out the rubble and that sort of thing.
And what
But
was his name again?
I think
Nightshade?
Common Travel Guy he goes by.
Common travel guy. Okay.
Yeah,
Now
he's
that
back in the
fella
UK
that
now.
he's back in the UK now.
Yeah, but he sort of comes and goes. Like he'll go down there for a couple months and come back, and because I think he funds a lot of it himself, so he sort of saves that money and then goes down there to have travel money and stuff like that.
Bobby, you're right. When you talk about Constantine from Inside Russia and Silicon Curtain, as well as ATP Geopolitics, but they're all on YouTube. They're not really here. The guy that I interviewed on here, I forget his name just now, from World Aid Runners.
Yeah,
My understanding is that with the threat to Kherson, because there's a threat that they're going to invade, right? They've got 300 boats and 4,000 guys, and they just tried to cross the river on December 20th. Apparently, he's shut down shop and he's headed back to the States. So he's no longer in Ukraine
right.
because Kherson is under imminent threat of invasion. Who could blame him, right? The Russians are coming across the river and they're going to unalive everybody that's in their way. Certainly, anybody that's been feeding people is gonna find they have a hard time. You can be sure of that. Is Spirit of Ukraine here? Spirit of Ukraine. Yep. Hey, Steve
Yeah.
B.
Well,
All right.
then a
Now,
lot of
I
the
am not seeing. So in the box, it's advertising people who can go live. Is there uh, anybody that wants to go live? Is there anybody that has a few words to say? Send me a request to join the live. I don't know Paul Warburg. That's not a name that I know. Oh, it's gotten warm in here.
and all
Maybe
these
guys,
other
after we're done with this live, I guess Avarosis has a live after this, and I'm going to head over there. Psh, Dark Irish, you're the best. All right, all right. All right, well, listen, guys, I don't want to drag this out. Nightshade, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I was just going to say that some of the other ones that I do follow aren't necessarily in Ukraine. A lot of them are here in England and stuff, but they get people in the box that are actually there, whether it's members of the Legion or Ukrainians that live there. A lot of them are from like Zaporizhia and that area, Sumy, and so you get a lot of the news from basically outside their window, sort of thing.
Well, who's outside Ukraine that you like?
Um, Stuart DJ is one. He's on a backup at the moment. It's just Stu,
Oh yeah,
STEW.
yep. I like
That's
Stewart.
one. Yeah, that's one of the main ones. Kansas Steve.
Yep.
Um, Steve TDS, he doesn't do a lot of lives, except when he's doing auctions. He'll auction like patches and stuff.
Yep.
And then that money goes to buying tourniquets and bleed packs and all the first aid stuff, that sort of thing.
Right on. Avarosis is, I think Avarosis is supposed to be on tonight. I think I'm gonna hop over there and check him out tonight. I don't generally do that.
Yeah, he always comes on right after you, like clockwork, if he's on tonight.
Yep. Yep. Hey, Rob Walker. The main story, the big story, the one with the most significant geopolitical implications was the sinking of the Sparta 3, or also known as Ursa Major. It was a cargo ship and crane ship of the Russian Federation that sank in the Mediterranean. And its sinking is going to wildly complicate Putin's life and his exit from Syria. Yeah, maybe he's not. It is Christmas Eve. It would be kind of surprising if he was. Hey, Flippy. I just had a nice chat with Flippy, exchanging our Merry Christmases. How many ships like that has he got left? Don't know, Bermuda. Don't know. It's not bizarre that 5 sank in a week. Come on. Come on, grow up.
Pure coincidence, eh?
Pure coincidence, Nightshade. In the middle of a war, I mean, has Ukraine not demonstrated its reach enough for the world that we look at this and think it's a mere coincidence? I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it is. But it's funny that another crane ship sank 5 days ago. If even that, was it 5? No, 3, right? Sunday, that crane ship sank. I think it was Sunday that crane ship sank. So if today is Tuesday, that's 3 days ago. So 2 crane ships, really important pieces of hardware when you're trying to get the fuck out of a country. That is the word on the street, that there was an explosion in the starboard compartment of the engine room.
Okay, hey Peter, it's Lori. It's
Hey, there's Blue Ariel Silk, the sponsor of tonight's live. Everybody say thank you, Lori.
No. Everyone say thank you, Peter, because without Peter, none of this would be happening. So that's, Peter's who we need to say thank you for. And thank you too, and appreciate his, sacrifice. And God, I would do anything to be in his place. And I think that's so amazing what Peter is doing right now. I think it is so cool. So thank you for everything, Peter. I really appreciate everything that you're doing, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And
Merry Christmas,
there's
Laura.
anything I can do to make it better for you, I would love to. We've got some ideas coming later in January, but if there's anything I can do for you, I have friends there. We can try to make things, work things out. But you are doing an amazing job. You are keeping us informed. You are on the ground. You're willing to sacrifice yourself, which is amazing. So just, know how much that means to me and how much that makes my heart glow for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
That's just from me to you.
I really appreciate it. Now, of course, guys, look, it doesn't get done alone, right? I literally could not do this without the support of people like Lori and Nightshade and Cheyenne and Vanetta and everybody, especially the Patreon folks. So if there's anybody out there that can join the Patreon, I sure would appreciate it. The link is in the bio. But I think what I'm going to do is, well, let me turn to Nightshade and Laurel since they're live and ask them if they have any final thoughts on the situation or hopes or aspirations for 2025. Laura, why don't you start? Thanks, Rob.
This is very hard for me because I have family on both sides of this stupid war, on both sides of this incredibly stupid conflict, which it's just watching people die. And I can't, 100% I'm on Ukraine's side. 100% I'm on Ukraine's side. But it makes me sick to watch both sides. And I don't have any, I don't, words of wisdom on where this should go, except for Putin needs to give up. Our new administration needs to not give in to the stupidity. And, as many of us who can help, help especially individual people, especially in Ukraine or in our own communities, that's very, very important to me. And other than that, I really don't have any words of wisdom because there are no words of wisdom in this stupid, stupid situation. And thank you, Peter, for what you're doing.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for all your continuing support. Little Red Sunflower does say something that I thought actually when you said that. The thought went right through my head just like this. The new administration is the stupidity. So I can't quite disagree with that. Hey, Robbo. Hey, Jason Willis starring. Jay, do you want to come live? Send me a request. Nightshade, how about you? You got any final thoughts?
Just a quick one. I think my biggest worry is that Trump's going to do all the hard work that Ukraine's done over the last, nearly 3 years now. Russia's just on that cusp, just one straw short of just complete collapse. And all it's going to take is for one stupid president to undo it all.
That's the thing. It does it to build complex economic systems is very difficult. And then one guy comes in and he can blow it all away.
Yeah, and it's not just the stocks and aid from Ukraine. I'm more worried about him lifting the sanctions on Russia.
Oh yeah,
because that's all it would take, and then all of a sudden they're getting all their cash in again.
That is a deep concern for all of us. All right, so let's start with Fitz. Fitz, you motherfucker, what are you doing?
It just kicked Santa Claus to the street on the fire trucks.
He was drunken in the gutter again.
I bounced 4 different counties for the last week or two, different firehouses and all that, So tonight's the last night.
Oh, you were playing Santa?
No. I did fire and EMS for 30 years in like 6 different counties. Even though I'm retired, I still keep up with everybody. So
right on.
Yeah. So no, I just want to say I'm not gonna be like the other one saying you're doing a great job and all that because you're from the Northeast and they'll go right to your head and you'll be patting your back and all that, So not
I invited you on here to insult me, Fitz. Please,
no, you're doing
my
a great
ego,
job, dude, and you got plenty of people supporting you behind you, So you just gotta keep up the good work.
I'm trying, brother. I'm trying. Thanks, man.
And honestly, F the haters. Hey, Pete, one more thing. There's the better half.
Hey, Denver. How you doing, Denver, baby? Yeah, baby.
Yeah, he's
a good-looking dog.
He's a handful.
That is a good-looking dog, pal. Well, thanks, man. That was, for anybody that doesn't know Fitz, that was remarkably generous and kind. Remarkably generous and kind.
Hey,
Spirit
Pete,
of Ukraine, how you living?
Hey, Pete, I studied for this one. You know Hale?
How? There you go.
So everybody have a good Christmas and all that, and everybody stay safe out there.
Thanks, Fitz.
Take care, guys.
Merry Christmas. Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Good. So So yeah, Peter, what you share every day and what you research and the information that you find, it is highly appreciated in not just the Ukrainian community but other communities. And being able to share that with everybody is absolutely amazing. And to do it from where you are is even more touching. So thank you. And P.S. I loved the cookie thing. That was beautiful. That's something we would do too. So maybe next year we can partner up and do that. That would
Oh,
be
that.
amazing.
Let's hope we don't have a Frontline next year, huh?
Let's hope. Paws crossed.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks for all that you guys do.
Yeah, ditto.
And how about you, Mr. Jason Willis Starr? And how you doing, pal?
Merry Christmas. I am I was snoozing and my wife sent me a link and said Peter's live and I said okay and I jumped on.
Boy, I love your wife.
Me too. A lot was it out punted the kicker or whatever?
That's great. For those of you guys that don't know Jason, how would I put it, does a lot of little things in the background. He's always trying to help individual people, as is the sense that I get, Jay.
Okay. Sometimes it's just the idea is we don't the things I do or that we do don't have to necessarily be celebrated necessarily to know that they are good. So sometimes little things happen and sometimes good things happen. I'm a very, very big fan of Becca and Spirit of Ukraine and a bunch of other people. Another thing is to make sure people are aware of what's needed and to see if little things can't happen. Are you okay, man?
There's so much need. It's overwhelming.
Sometimes it is just the little things. A friend of mine from high school, second year in a row, his factory in Granite Falls, North Carolina, and Hickory, North Carolina, their factories, when they have leftover yarn and leftover facility from making socks and undergarments and stuff for Hanes or what have you, those machines, that setup of those machines, before they change them out, they oftentimes will just run them and do they can't sell what that stuff is because it was part of a separate order, but they can donate it. So they donated Long Johns and this sort of thing. And to, Thank You Ukraine was the brand name that they came up with.
Oh, nice.
And so about 15,000 guys last year were running around with Long Johns from them. And it's about the same this year. So sometimes you just find little things that are sitting around on the side.
Yeah, that's smart, man. No, it's smart,
There are little people all over the world that want to help. French farmers get a special discount on their taxes when they buy new vehicles, but they also get money when they go and maintain their vehicles. So if you can get a French farmer who has a good truck or, this sort of thing, and maybe they want a new car for their wife for Christmas, and you can put up a little bulletin in French, and they can call and say, hey, I would like to donate my car or my truck. They will do the repairs on it, like they'll do a new battery, new belts, new hoses, this sort of thing, and you can buy their car, and then you can have that car shipped to Ukraine to be a military vehicle. Just little things that can happen. Again, I just want to make sure soft-body vehicles are the lifeblood of this war. I don't know if people realize how much of it is. Hey, a car or a truck that can get the guys to and from the front, or can get supplies into the ditches, or can be covered up. These things are very, very big and very, very important.
And you know who's very good at it? The British. And
I agree.
the reason why it's so clear that the British are doing such a good job of getting cars here, is because you see left hand or right hand, wait, whatever it is, the wrong sided
Yeah.
drivers all the time.
Yep.
In the Donbass, it's like 1 in 3 vehicles are British vehicles.
Mhm.
I just got almost run over by a truck the other day out here. The guy was on the wrong side.
Yep.
Yeah, so the UK is really doing a good job of getting cars into this country.
I've also been very, very impressed to see. I don't know if you saw it or not. There were some pictures of some guys tooling around in some old police cruisers, and somebody donated the entire Sacramento Police Department's old car inventory to Ukraine.
Oh,
So
that's
you'll
great.
see all of these, black and whites, and you're like, did I do something wrong? Is somebody out after me? And it's the Sacramento Police Department has turned over a whole bunch of cars to the Ukrainian people. And they look pretty darn good. Now, don't get me wrong, they're miled out as hell.
Right, of course.
But, the other thing that the Ukrainians are good at is being mechanics and making do. My God, are they amazing at making new stuff out of just the things that we would have thrown away, and they turned some great things into it. But anyway, I'm very thankful for them, and I'm very happy to pass a Merry Christmas on. I'm so glad that Santa's already hit you where you are, Peter, and I'm so glad for you. I mean, I know I sometimes miss the thing every day, but I just want to make sure I really, really am appreciative of you, both your friendship and of the great things that you do. Okay.
Well, thanks, Jason. Thanks so much. Well, guys, on that note, I think we'll call it a night. I really appreciate everybody who came on and had such nice things to say. Thank you. I really appreciate the work of the moderator team, Cheyenne, Vanetta, PT, Jay, and Travis. I particularly want to thank Nightshade and Lars, who do stuff. What is on my head? Is that a Charizard? Was I just Charizard? Anyway, a dragon crown. Cool. I could use a dragon crown. So thanks, everybody. Make it a great day. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Thank you. Thanks, Jay. Take care.